I think we are live now.
Yep.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're all well. And thank you for joining us this week. Let me, get back to. I'm a little all over the place here, trying to get my notes together because we've been toying around with a number of different things and changes. So, what are we covering this week? Well, I want to know: is there a bun in the oven? Bun.js, that is. You know, it's a question we've been asking ourselves about runtimes, and Bun.js is a topic we're gonna pick up because there's been some conversation about this in the forums. Is your MeteorJS upgrade crashing? Have you upgraded to Meteor recently and have noticed some weird crashes happening? Well, if you do notice that, I'll explain why it happens, and I'll tell you what to do to fix it. So there is a fix for that. And what about your role in your applications? If you want to understand where you get your authority, stick around to the end until to learn more about this essential community package that you really should be using when you build your Meteor applications. All this and more on This Week in MeteorJS, a feature of the Meteor Dispatches podcast. And I'm Alim Gafar, one of the hosts, Meteor Ambassador, one of the hosts of the podcast. And we have here also is Jan, known as Storyteller, Jan Dvorak.
Hey there, Alan.
Somebody today, right, Jan? Who are we missing?
We are missing the other Jan. So it's I go on a vacation, the house gets on fire. What's going on, Alan? Here.
Well, let's look at that from the kind of feedback we've been getting recently. Last week we had a really great program. So far, out of the 3 episodes that we've done, this is now the 4th. Last week's episode had a lot of engagement. We had a lot of people on the live stream chat. And if you're around and you're watching this right now, you can go and you can type in here. We have Daniel, who's on the chat right now. I actually met Daniel this week separately. I think it was on Slack, and we ended up having a conversation on the phone, which was great. And so, Daniel, thank you for joining us today. And we hope that you spend a lot more time with the program and keep sharing ideas with us about what we can do going forward. So thank you on that. We also got some comments last week. We didn't get anything in the suggestion box. And I would suggest, by the way, that if you are thinking that there are topics or issues or people that we should be talking about with this because it's important for others to know, please use that link. The link is in our show note descriptions that you'll find on YouTube. We have a series of links there, but there is one that says, add a suggestion, right? So from Michael Scharf last week, we got 2 comments. First was Michael had said at one point, it would be great to add chapter marks like the 2 previous episodes. Really great stuff. And he put that in, I think it was over the weekend or after we had done the program. And our intention is actually to put them in every single week. And we did them for the first 2. It took a little while to get the 3rd one done, but it was done. We think it's valuable. I think it's valuable for me to be able to go back and to find specific areas of the program to get to without having to watch the whole thing. So we did that. And Michael, if you are watching now and are interested in going back and finding some particular segment of the program that is interesting to you that you want to rewatch or you didn't get to, or, for whatever reason, you feel you need to get back to, you can do that. So, I'm happy to say that we're going to continue doing it. Thank you. I'm glad that we got the feedback that it's valuable, and we'll continue to do it. The second comment that we have relates back to one of the topics we covered last week, and that was the topic on the internal web app package that Meteor uses and the Connect middleware layer that's been replaced by Express. There were some changes that were made to the APIs because of that, which might have some breaking effects later on. We were told that it was meant for 3.0, but there's a question among us whether or not, that implementation is already in and would affect the 2.x series, 2.13 and others, applications that are using it right now. And so there is some healthy discussion going on. What I did was, when I was asked a question, I didn't have the answer. And so I went out and I created a forum thread based on the question, posted Michael's question in there, put the link back into the comments so he could track it. And that link will also be in the show notes to the forum. And if you want to go and be part of that discussion, there's a very healthy discussion going on right now. And I think Jan can add some color to this because he's been part of it.
Yes, so this is about moving from Connect to Express. Most of times the big thing is the API itself isn't really changing because of how pretty much identical Connect and Express are. They pretty much grew one out of each other and then moved for a while together until Connect pretty much is deprecated. So that makes it actually very easy. And the big thing that's changing is, instead of Connect, it's going to have Express in the name, which obviously breaks a lot of APIs in the packages. And for myself, I'm maintainer in the community of the Picker package, which pretty much adds the routing that Express does very nicely. Connect is a simpler version of Express, so it doesn't have dynamic routing and stuff like that. So for me, this is, of course, going to impact the package. But at the same time, since I'm adding for Picker options that Express already has, what I'm going to do is, based on the discussion that we have, and if you are sharing the screen, you'll see I'm going to release a new version of Picker. That's going to be the last version, which is going to have a warning and a link to a guide how to migrate properly to the new API. But this is going to be compatibility release, which will allow you to upgrade, as you go to Meteor 3 without any problem, without it breaking, saying, oh, this package does not support Meteor 3 and stuff like that. So I will make, and this I hope is going to be for most packages, a compatibility release that will both have backward compatibility, but also, if the new API is available, use the new one, which is something that we have been using with other packages very successfully through the years when we had breaking changes like these. So it's not something that you have to worry. It's something that you have to worry kind of to migrate in your application if you are using this specific API directly, or if you are using a package that's no longer maintained.
So I just want to add to this that there is a lot of nuance here, and it's worth going to the forum thread to read and to also understand how these technical discussions evolve into the outcomes that they do in terms of API changes, or whether or not they remain the same, but under the hood, they're doing something else. So thank you, Jan. I appreciate that very much. I want to mention, by the way, that we're going to be running a little tight today because both Jan and I have some long distance trips to make. I have to do a few hundred miles of travel today, and Jan is, I think, doing relatively the same thing. We're doing it on separate continents. Yeah. We're not traveling together, but fortunately or unfortunately, we are not able to really stick around and add too much color today. I see that our friend Jan Kuster is in the live chat with us. Hey, Jan. I think he's written, I think Express has a few different functions when writing head and response. So simply changing the API on web app might not be sufficient, but I'm not 100% sure.
It really depends, because depends also how much you use it. If you're just using like the super basic things like you do in Picker just as a routing resolution, then it's simple change. But like with all API changes, major upgrades, you really have to look on your specific usage, and that's kind of the issue with kind of giving a general advice, because every app is different and there are going to be changes, so you have to really carefully look on what you're doing and adjust to that.
So I want to say that a couple of things about the channel so far for you guys that are tracking. We've had our, I think, best week last week. we grew at about the pace in a week that has taken our first episode 3 weeks to get to. So we're seeing a lot more engagement, a lot more participation. We're very happy about that. Last week we ran an hour, which is heavy, and we got a little too involved in some details, which has its own issues. We are seeing a lot more people, but we're also seeing like the engagement that we want to see is we have to fine tune. So we're going back to the format that we started with, which is pretty much straight to the news with a couple of extra segments. So we're gonna cut right into the news in a minute. We've got 3 things to talk about. One is fix to an upgrade, Bun.js, and some new things that are happening with Awesome Meteor. And then we are going to head over to talk about a couple of, well, we're going to talk about one particular useful resource that the community should know about, and touch on a hot topic that's come up recently with relation to the way MeteorJS is structured as a platform. So without getting further into that, let's just go straight to the news now. I mentioned before that you might be experiencing some crashes if you updated recently. And if you've been using, if you upgraded to Meteor 2.13.1, I believe, there's some instances where it fails to install on certain circumstances. And the problem is due to the fact that we're building with this custom Node 14 runtime that has reached end of life that Meteor software is now maintaining. And the issue is that binary, when it's built, it's not finding the proper C runtime library that should be linked to it. And so the fix, there was a that was discovered to be the root cause problem, and they built a new version of it. It is Meteor 2.13.3. If you install that should take care of the problem. If you're still experiencing it, I'll link to the forum notes that bring this up. And if you're still having a problem, please report in. But that should take care of it. What we've seen from the people that have had the problem is that takes care of it and it disappears. So I'm going to move on to our next item, which is the discussion that's been going on with Bun and MeteorJS about MeteorJS and using Bun. So why don't you take it away, Jan?
So Bun 1.0 came out with a bang, and it is similar, you could say, in Node what it does, but it kind of goes a bit beyond that. And why it has become such a I could say big bang in the community is, if you look, are here the advertised speeds compared to competitors like Node and Dino, which are significantly higher than either of them.
Yeah. So these are the runtimes that power the applications, right? So, okay.
Well, we have here server-side rendering stuff, WebSocket responses per second, and SQLite and stuff like that. So it's multiple things together, and that's also what makes Bun, or one reason why Bun is so fast is because it goes to the native languages, the binaries, if I understand correctly, instead of how Node and Dino does it. And it also includes a lot more like bundling, SQLite, and a couple other things. And the beauty of it, and that's why I got so many people excited, especially in relationship to Meteor, is that they are advertising that you can pretty much change Node and Bun. You can just switch them up and it should work because they have replicated most of the Node.js APIs. So that's why we have started talking on how maybe if we can try to use Bun with Meteor. And the short answer is not yet. That will, from what we have in our discussion. Let me have to. Yes, I have to go here. If you follow the discussions on the forums, you will see, how we are kind of going through it, analyzing it, looking at it. Right now, the conclusion is that we cannot exchange it primarily because we need, or you can, but it's going to break a lot of things. But right now, kind of what we have, I would say, agreed on is that Meteor 3 needs to come out, and then we can start, playing more with it and have fun with it, especially because of all the legacy code that Meteor 3, kind of takes care of.
So I would say this: there are two things that comes out of this. The really important reason that Bun and Dino are talked about at all, Dino is another runtime, is because they're faster than the V8 runtime that ships with Node right now, and so they tend to be a lot more performant. The problem is whether or not they work well with the existing ecosystem in Node, and at this point they're relatively immature in the sense of being production ready, but they're very, very exciting options and very interesting. I would also suggest, by the way, that although members of the community who are working with core are discussing how it might work with Bun, is if you've got the technical chops and you decide that you want to give it a try, go ahead, take Bun, take Meteor, try to do the swap out, write what figure out what's going on, see how far you can go, and then tell us what you've discovered. And that'll help move the state of the art in the community also. So we don't have to just wait on these guys. You can do it yourself too. It's open source, right? So
Yeah.
we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, the big importance online, he tell us about it, document your journey, because first of all, it's an exciting article to document, what went well, what went wrong, what didn't work, because then once, if there are like issues, then, other people can chime in, can help you out. And it's, generally, good for you as a developer, advertising that you are doing something exciting, and it helps everybody in the community as well. So it's win-win. Yeah, so please, if you do, tell us about it. For people like me, I'm just sadly too busy to even get into it, and I can only, help organizationally and with maybe like once in a while, maybe some testing, commit, or stuff like that. So
Sure.
I have too much on my plate to really get into this.
So that's all right. Well, so I think what we should, before we get to the useful resource section, right, which is on aligning roles, we're going to chat about that for a minute. We have a question coming in from Daniel about I guess in relation to this, what's happening with the Cordova update, by the way? Did something happen on that front? We've actually requested an exception in the Google web interface to be able to submit older build versions until December. It's easily requested with a click and approved immediately, it seems. So
Yes. So
you have an answer for him? Or?
yes, I have, because I am. That's something that I have been trying to push as much as possible. So let me see if I can quickly find. We have a open PR for this, and we are right now trying to figure out what's happening with the test. But we also had here a workaround as well, if I can find it. Maybe it was on the forums. So there's also a topic on the forums regarding this, where I think it was Denilson or somebody else, it's just like a workaround where you actually can just change one variable somewhere and it will build up with the newest SDK. But yeah, we have an open PR for this. If you have, right now, everything is pretty much ready. We just need to fix or figure out why our tests are failing. So if you have, if you are familiar with any of this, and maybe Circle CI as well, and can help us out with this, we would very much appreciate this, so that we can push it and have a release of this as soon as possible.
Okay, so Jan, can you get me a link to this in the document we share on the program?
Yes,
So that
I will.
I can add it to the show notes?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
Right after it.
All right. So, I had asked for clarification if Daniel was suggesting that Emmett should reach out, or the community team should reach out to Google to work on it, and he responded that I think that what's happened for him is a stopgap measure, which will only work
Mhm.
until December. Jan Kuster, on the other hand, has been also in talking to him at the same time, and he asked if this is in relation to the Android SDK 33 requirement, and Daniel responded that yes, he thinks it is.
Yes, that's the issue. So
Okay.
yeah, we are urgently asking for, if we can get, if you know what your way around this, or have, any
Yeah.
ideas how to help us, check out the PR. If in the theory, if you actually use and run the Meteor checkout from this PR, you should be able to get, the newest Meteor and Cordova with it, and it should, work for you. I think we are just having an issue with Circle CI having some meltdown. We had similar issues previously.
Okay.
So
Why don't we move on from
that's
this
that.
and
Yep.
get to the useful resources? So we'll follow up, in the comments and on the forums. But what we're going to do now is we're heading over to useful resources and talking about a package which, if you have never used it before, you should probably be using it, especially if you're doing any kind of user, management on your application. This is an old classic, but very necessary and very useful package called A-Landing roles. So, who's A-Landing? Why do you write roles? And what's this package all about, Jan?
So A-Landing starts or is for Andrew Lanning, who originally wrote this package way back, actually very early in the Meteor history. Let's see if we can get here the first version. So way back in 2014. And since then, we had also Meteor work on it, as well as many other contributors, including myself. Myself particularly in regards to migrating it over under Meteor Community Packages management, and adding stuff like most recently TypeScript typings into the package itself, and other similar ease of life improvements.
All
And
right.
yeah, go ahead.
Is that good? Yeah. All right. Can we move on to the next topic now?
I'll just quickly go. If you haven't guessed by the name, Meteor roles add roles and permissions to users. So you create roles, you assign them to users. You can even create like higher roles that has multiple permissions in there, or you can namespace it to particular, say if you have like organization, and then you can, do like, for example, like roles.user is in role, where you add the user ID, and then what roles you want to check in, and it will then return
Yeah.
true or false if the user is permitted to do that options. It's beta tested, production ready for a very long time, and highly recommended. If you use Blaze, we even have some old helpers for Blaze as well. So if you are using users where you need to kind of restrict who can access what, which I would say is most application, this is definitely a package you should be using.
So one of the things I just want to add is that Adrian Lanning, who is the author, created the package, but over the years it's been taken over and managed now by the community team. So they're the ones that are actually rolling out any new changes and updates. It is current, so it's not abandonware. And again, it's one of those packages that if you need to figure out how to give rights and use to particular resources, this is how you would do it, through this roles mapping. So thank you, Jan, on that. And our last item before we wrap up is a hot topic. We noticed that there has been a lot of conversation on a Bun-related item. So it's kind of related to Bun, but not, it can stand on its own. But there is a user who made a very provocative proposal, This is Leo Bastiani. He goes by on his handle. And Leo has suggested that why don't we split Meteor into many NPM packages? And he lays out an argument for it. And I'm going to give an out of context summary here. But basically what he's saying is he believes that Meteor would be even better if it were a series of NPM packages. That's sort of like to summarize what he argues. And then ensuing that has been a number of different people that have weighed in on the pro and on the con on it. If you have an opinion, a technical opinion, by the way, if you have a technical opinion on the worth of doing that versus not doing it and what the limitations are and how you get around that, and you can contribute meaningfully to this, again, in the show notes, we're going to have a link to this forum. Please go there, put your 2 cents in, because I think this is super important, because there are a number of consequences that come out of this in terms of, how well Meteor can play in a larger environment. And there are other consequences about like what would Meteor lose in terms of its special sauce if it were to do so. So we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to see your participation there. So please, when you get a chance, pop over there and add your 2 cents. Jan, do you have anything that you want to add to this?
Absolutely. It's I can ask why isn't Bun an NPM package? But it's kind of similar in that I have posted on that. There is like back in 2017, Ben Newman wrote an article, Know Your Node.js, where there is a case why we keep why we set to a specific Node.js environment. That's also kind of related. Also, historically, it's good to know why we have the packages as we have them. And I want that might be a good topic for a deep dive by itself,
Sure.
going into that. And for me, I think eventually we'll end up there, but there's a lot of steps that we need to take before we get there. And right now, as pretty much Meteor does a lot of the things like similar to Bun, what Bun does, it's just right now not yet fully suited, to be itself completely an NPM package. But I think we are getting there, and the technology has advanced a lot since Meteor was originally written. So even this opinion might be outdated as things have changed, and as we look more into Bun, maybe we'll start making changes that's going to move towards that. One big thing to kind of also note to this, that it's going to be a big change, and we are kind of have like history that in Meteor that we want to make sure that there's a nice continuity and upgrade path that's easy. So that's also something to consider.
All right, guys. This is it for the program today. I apologize. I mean, I think both Jan and I have to actually run. I have some pressing business that I need to get to. But as a reminder, I just want to ask you that if you find value in what we've been doing and you think that this is good, please like the episode. Consider subscribing to the channel. We've moved from, I think it was something like 47 subscribers last week up to 56. If we get to 100, we can customize the URL for our channel, and that'll be great because it allows us to have some consistent branding and also makes it easy for people to find us. So if you're able to do that, that'll be great. By liking the episode, you raise awareness in YouTube for it to propagate it further up into the search. So when people are looking for related information, the episode will come up. So I think that'll be great if you could do that. And of course, if you know anybody that's in the JavaScript community who's thinking about Meteor, or you think really well of Meteor and you think that they should learn about Meteor, please share the episode, share our channel, and let other people find out about it. Finally, I want to just let you know that when this live stream ends and it's closed, your ability to interact doesn't stop there. You can actually add to the comments on the episode. So if you weren't able to participate in the live chat as Jan and Daniel have been doing, and it's great, you can actually replay that when you play the episode. You'll be able to see it go live. Then you know, you could still participate by writing in on the comments. We read them, and as you notice this week, when we read them, we'll come back and we'll discuss what we've gotten from them. And the last thing I'd like to say is you can support our open source community directly by sponsoring some of the developers. And in our show notes, we have the GitHub sponsor links for both Jan and Storyteller and Jan Kuster. So please show your appreciation and for the work that they do, not just on this channel, but in the software that they produce for the community for free on their dollar. You know, as I say, sometimes on their dime and on their time. Just if you could do that, I think that would be that really would demonstrate some appreciation and let them know that you find their work valuable. And finally, we have a submission form. The link is also in the show note descriptions. And if you have ideas for new topics that we should be covering, whether it's a hot topic, something we should deep dive on, or you know, there are some useful resources that you've used. It might be an npm package, it might be an atmosphere package. It may be some related software or tool. It could be, you know, a tool that allows you to perform work better in, for instance, you know, VS Code. Whatever it is, like linter or something, right? Whatever it is, if you find that there's something that you feel that others could benefit from because you do, put it in the suggestion box for us and tell us about it. We'll talk about it. All right. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Okay, bye.